Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead of them and their companies. I'm your host, Olivia Salmons, and in each episode we'll uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, I'm very excited to be joined by Nanette Thelemaque, the founder of In Essence Business Solutions. Nanette helps entrepreneurs bring structure and clarity to their operations, supporting founders who feel overwhelmed, disorganized, or stuck in the day-to-day runnings of their business. Her work focuses on helping businesses move from reactive, chaotic workflows into more structured systems that allow them to grow more effectively. Nanette, welcome to Founders Future. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
It's a pleasure, and I'm very much excited to dive in and learn a little bit more about your journey. So, Nanette, with all of my guests, I do actually like to start at the beginning. So if you don't mind briefly taking me back to what it was you was doing before you started up In Essence Business Solutions, and then from there, what was the motivation behind it?
Sure. My background is in sales and marketing and it was with early dot-com startups in the
Okay.
90s. So I'm dating myself. And that experience really shaped almost everything about how I built In Essence. And I've spent more than 25 years in roles that required me to understand people, positioning, partnerships, and how businesses actually grow. And what that taught me is that growth is never about one thing. It's not
Mm.
processes, it's not marketing, but it's a combination of both, of all that working together. So when I started my own business, I brought that lens with me when I started my business. And even when I began offering support services, I was never only thinking about doing tasks and getting them done, but I was also thinking about how to how the business can run better, more efficiently, and grow more intentionally. And
Yeah.
that's a big part of why In Essence evolved the way it did.
Beautiful stuff. Yeah, and I love the way you started off because I do feel exactly the same way. To grow a business, it needs the operations and the systems behind it in every aspect. It's not just about marketing because without the back end of the marketing, you're just acquiring leads for no reason. The same with sales. If you can't convert those sales, there's no system in place. You're just growing to nothing. And I suppose
Exactly.
when you was gathering all that kind of experience and going through all those different roles, did you always have a little bit of an ambition that you wanted to be an entrepreneur, or was that something that naturally developed? Obviously, if you saw the gap and saw that your experience was becoming very specialized within that space.
I really didn't see a gap. I mean, I wasn't looking that far.
Oh, okay.
It was more my entrepreneurial journey started in 2013 when I was working full time. At the time, I had been hearing a lot about virtual assistants, and so
Mm,
and I was thinking I was thinking about it quite a while and had wanted to start something on my own so I could have more flexibility. So I finally took the leap and started my own business while working full time as a solopreneur and offering virtual assistant support to local businesses. But as the business grew, I realized there was a real need for reliable, high level support. And
yeah.
in 2017, I had built enough client work, not a lot for my cash flow, but enough to take the leap and to go all in. And that was definitely a risk, but was one I was willing to take because I wanted the freedom and the flexibility that entrepreneurship offered. And I also wanted to use the skills and strengths that I had that weren't being tapped in the traditional roles. And so that's why I did that. And then in 2020, my business evolved again because a peer of mine was transitioning from virtual assistants to becoming a business coach. And she had an established business with clients and subcontractors. So I took those on and incorporated it. And that gave me an even deeper look at what business owners are really dealing with behind the scenes because I was trying to negotiate that from a solopreneur myself. And what I kept seeing for myself as well as other business owners is that you had talent, you have the vision, you have these great ideas, but you're buried in the day to day. And
Yeah.
and they were wearing most small business owners are wearing so many hats and making decisions on the fly and trying to grow without enough structure underneath them. And that's really
Mhm.
what inspired the evolution of In Essence, because I didn't want to build a business that just helped with tasks. I wanted to build one that helped business owners think clearly, streamline what was happening behind the scenes, and grow with more confidence.
Yeah, I love that. And you do find a lot of small business owners do just build themselves a glorified job at the end of the day, because as you say, they're very much stuck in the weeds, stuck in the trenches. They're covering all those hats that it's very hard to see past that and realize how you can develop them to see and scale. And actually, with your experience as a VA as well, you would have been inside the trenches with them, so you can very much see from that bird's eye point of view or from the outsider's look how we can develop better
Exactly.
structures and not just keep tackling task by task. There's a
Exactly.
smarter way to work and move on from there. So
Exactly.
let's dive into, in essence, a little bit more then, just so the listeners can have some context moving forward. So, Nanette, at this point in, who would you say is your ideal client? Who is it that you very much love to work with the most? And then from there, how is it you help them, and how do you support them along their own journey?
Okay, so there isn't any industry,
Okay, cool.
basically. They're what they are small. They are small entrepreneurs, small businesses to mid-sized businesses who are talented and committed and doing whatever it is they're doing, mostly B2B. But they're at that point or that plateau where day to day is getting heavier and growth is starting to be harder than it should be. Those are the people that I typically work with. And the clients I usually work with are highly, let me start again. Blah, blah. I the clients I work with them in a highly collaborative, tailored way. We're not
Mm,
a one size fits all kind of a business because most of the clients I work with are dealing with a mix of challenges and not just one isolated problem. And so they're really talented. They've hit that point. They're at that point where they're just things are falling. They're juggling and things are falling. And they often need more clarity and a stronger system or better marketing alignment. Or simply they just need the right support behind the scenes so they can stop carrying
yeah.
everything alone. And that's really aligns with our role as strategic partners, helping them streamline and grow.
Beautiful. So you're very much getting in the trenches with your clients. And as you say, it's a very custom approach to their needs, what they're looking to do. So then what
Mhm.
is your style or your approach like? How is you integrate yourselves and what is it like to work with you?
The way I structure with my clients, the way I work with them is relationship. It starts with relationships and
Okay.
understanding before prescribing. So, what we begin to do is we begin with deeper conversations or an audit style engagement because I like to look at the full picture first before digging into where the business was go where they are right now. So, what is working, what's not working, where the bottlenecks are, and what growth actually is going to require. And then from there, I can recommend the right steps instead of pushing a generic package. The approach is very much a part of how In Essence works. A deep dive first, then a tailored round roadmap, and then implementation and adjustment when needed. And they can do the implementation with us because we're capable of doing that, or they can take that roadmap anywhere they want.
Love it. So you're very much setting a man up to fish, whether they choose to do that with you or they can do that on their own. At least they have that
Mhm.
audit. And as you say, I'm assuming making sure it's a good fit on your side as well, because if you naturally can't help that client, there's no point taking them on board as well. So that audit must
That's
be a great asset just for you
that's
and the
right.
client to start with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome stuff. And then again, very tailored from there, and you've got a custom approach when walking through. One thing I'm very curious to find out, and when we get into the nuts and bolts a little bit of the business. So, when it comes to acquiring your own customers, like what channels or methods are you really finding most effective at the moment, Annette, and just finding those right people to work with?
And right now, a lot of it is relationship building. So I'm referrals, word of mouth, a heck of a lot of networking that I do, and repeat connections and people seeing the impact of the work over time. And that's been a big part of the business. I also attract people who resonate with a more collaborative and honest relationship, that
Yeah.
authentic strategic approach, because they're not just looking for someone to do tasks. They're really looking for a partner who understands what the realities of running a business is like and can help them move forward with more confidence. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it. So, as you say, you are positioning yourself more as that partner that they can rely on and lean on for any kind of advice. Almost maybe
Mhm.
setting yourself up more as a fractional within the business, but at least then
Mhm.
they go on and get on what they need to do. So, yeah, very relational based. And I think referrals and obviously word of mouth just shows kudos to the work that you are doing with your current clients if you've got that kind of coming in. To
Right.
utilize or take advantage of social media anyway, just maybe get a more consistent lead flow for yourself or even more eyes on what you're doing.
Yes, right now, one of the milestones I'm trying to hit is more consistent visibility. I've spent the last 6 months really building my own foundation because I want to be able to show people that I'm doing what I'm asking them to do. So I've been working on that, but I've also been working on a marketing campaign because the quite frankly, as much as you have referrals, as much as you do networking, economies change, things are unpredictable. People are constantly changing in their focus. And so having a consistent marketing campaign, email marketing, social media, blogging, all of that is essential for consistent presence in online. And I'm a virtual business, so that's important. So I put that into place and we'll be able to monitor that because now I can see the shifts that happen and be able to pivot. I can't do that if I'm busy networking every day. That's time consuming.
Yeah, so true. And you'll know that, as you say, from being your clients, that's such a drawn out process. So it's nice you are putting aspects in place where you can see yourselves grow. And then
Mhm.
actually you need a consistent lead flow coming in for that predictability to see where you're going to go with it. Are you
Right.
looking to implement any form of paid advertisements, or what is your kind of plan with that marketing campaign?
I may eventually do that, maybe small baby steps into that, because I find organic growth is, for me, works the best because people want services from people they trust. Ads are
Mm.
great, gives you presence, but it doesn't tell the story really. You can tell a little bit of a story, but knowing who we are, our mission, our vision, it comes from relationship building.
Yeah, I think that can be done with ads. We run a lot of ads
Mhm.
ourselves here as a
Oh,
company,
okay.
and they're very much based on that front. They're all strategic things you can put in place. So one thing I find is more of advantage with ads over the organic is just the speed and obviously the time
Yeah,
again it takes to get to that level you need to do. You're very
right.
much building a very good system on the back end of that you don't really need too much work on when it comes to
Mhm.
organic. Again, it's just that reliability of lead coming in that isn't, it's not quite
Right,
measurable. But and
right.
with all that being said, are you still pretty much a solopreneur yourself as well, Nanette, or do you have a team that are maybe helping you out at all?
I do have a team. I have a small team that I plan on growing with. And the reason why I do is I'm trying to step away as the person holding all the hats. And to grow, you have to do that. And so I find what I care about is my priorities really is making sure that I hire people who are collaborators themselves. So they could be other virtual assistants, they could be marketing strategists, people with specific skill sets
Right.
that meet my clients' needs. And one of my personal internal mission is to hire people who have the skill sets, but maybe not the flexibility for the traditional roles. And I'm talking mainly women and mothers, single mothers, which it really affects where I come from. I was one once. So I understand that trying to juggle family life with a job and traditional jobs just don't meet that. And I reach out to those women because they have the skill sets and abilities, and I want to help them have income coming in for, and because I didn't have that when I was going through that.
Yeah, I love that you can provide them with that space and that opportunity as well. Because as you say, naturally, especially if you are in that kind of role, it's very time consuming. So you're allowing them to kind of come in and obviously treat that as their own, helping out your clients and
Exactly.
obviously taking some of that workload off of yourself. More, I'm assuming like more of an account manager, so they can cover those little jobs that you don't need to be doing within the client fulfillment role as well, which is really cool.
Exactly.
And then with all that being said, naturally with your adding stuff onto growth, what are your like visions or ambitions for the company moving forward? When you think of maybe the next 6 to 12 months, what are those goals or those targets that you're looking forward to achieving?
I tend to think about revenue growth and revenue. It's not just about numbers, but
Awesome.
it's about just for the sake of numbers, because I'm not really interested in that. My focus is growing in a way that supports the right clients who could use my help with offers and internal capacity. So I'm focused on measurable growth, but the bigger priority for me is sustainable growth. Key drivers for that is my positioning, constantly tweaking that, stronger visibility, more repeatable sales rhythm. So in my marketing campaigns, and offers that address the deeper business needs rather than only the surface level execution.
Love it. So
Mhm.
going not only with growth in terms of like volume, but within depth as well. You're making sure you're very much keeping up with that fulfillment side of it and you are meeting them and doing exactly what you promised to deliver, which is really
That's
cool.
right.
And where are you probably finding the biggest challenge for yourself at the moment in it? Either in taking those next steps or even just within the current business you.
I would say the biggest challenge is the same thing that my clients have, founder capacity, right? So while building the next stage of my business, there's a lot of service-based founders, you spend a lot of time multiple hats in terms of leading strategy, serving clients, managing delivery, handling business development, and thinking about growth all at the same time. And that means I want to be intentional about what I focus on and what
Right.
I delegate and who I hire and what systems need to be in place to support my next level of my growth. And that requires putting systems into place that monitor what's working, what isn't, and what the gaps are for myself. And that's exactly because I have those challenges, I understand my client's challenge.
Yeah, exactly that. And as you say, you can very much put yourself in their shoes because you help them with that aspect as well. So just building
Hmm.
that same predictability for yourself and getting rid of
Hmm.
that imaginary ceiling that a lot of founders do hit, as you well know
Right.
yourself. And I suppose if you could have an influx of resources that you could implement straight into the business, what would be the first thing you'd change to help accelerate that growth for yourself?
More consistent marketing campaigns, I would say, more consistency, making sure that's in place, and business development. I do have someone I want to bring in to help me with that
Yeah.
right now. So that's the main thing. And then going from there, just continual marketing, nurturing campaigns and putting those forward. And the more I bring in somebody who can help me, opens up opportunities to actually network more and speak to people because now I'm not in the
100%.
trenches. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. As you say, alleviating those jobs and those roles from yourself allows you to work on the business so you can focus on founder roles, do what you need to
Mhm.
do, and just that whole system will keep building itself, keep growing
Right.
as you grow as well, which is a pretty cool,
Yep.
very lovely stuff. And as one final question to you, Nanette, before we log out. So, if you could go back in time to a younger self and you could only leave yourself with one piece of advice moving forward, something you know now, but that you didn't know back then, what would you
Right. Oh, that's a good question. I would say that it's better to start early in terms of your systems and processes before you get involved. Do not wait until you get busy and overwhelmed. Make
say?
sure you start with a good foundation because that's the best way to grow.
100%. Otherwise, you have that little house of cards will just start slowly watering down.
Exactly.
Nanette, thank you so much for joining me today and for sharing your incredible journey and insight with us. Where can our listeners reach out best to work with you or connect with you if they would like to do so?
Absolutely on LinkedIn, that's probably the best place. But also, I would recommend that they go to my website, which is in essence businesssolutions.com. In there, there's if they want to do it just for a lark or they're interested in finding out what their gaps are, there's a quiz that I offer people to take. And sometimes it gives them a little bit clarity where they need to focus themselves. So they should feel free to do that.
Amazing stuff. And Nanette, thank you again. I really appreciate your time
Sure.
with me today.
Sure.
And to our listeners, if you enjoyed today's conversation, please be sure to go and check out Nanette, as she just said. Drop her a message on LinkedIn to hear from everybody. And do not forget to subscribe to Founders Future via wherever you listen to your favourite podcasts. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or agency owner, and you're really looking to scale your business and you want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with one of our team and discover how we went from zero to $30 million per year in less than 3 years. But until then, keep on climbing and we'll see you on the next one.